Welcome back, adventurers. Well, this week we share with you the decision we made when we were trying to run from that terrible storm that was heading our way. We also share with you what it was like on board while we were going through the storm, and we give you a cheeky Portofino update on where the build is at, and also some information about our innovative air conditioning system that is going to be installed in our new Portofino 52. So kick off your shoes and come barefoot with us, guys. We are John and Ali, the Barefoot Doctors, sailing and travelling around the globe. Join us as we share the adventure and explore the beauty of the world, because life is better barefoot. Welcome back, guys. Well, last week we actually left you with a bit of a cliffhanger. Sorry about that, but we hadn't really decided what we were going to do. There was 3 choices about how to keep ourselves and our boat safe with this huge storm that was coming. What were the 3 choices that we had, honey?
And this is a fairly classic decision you have to make as a yachty. So the 3 decisions were: do we stay tied up against the rough harbour wall, which was exposed to the wind and was outside the protection of the harbour? Do we anchor in the middle of the harbour, or do we take ourselves out of the safety of the harbour and go and anchor in the middle of the open bay in the lee of the mountains? So those were the 3 choices we had. And look, thanks very much to everybody who answered. We got so much great information there and lots of solutions and lots of strategies.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, the more heads, the more creative, the more information and the more knowledge, and the better the result, really, isn't it?
Yeah, all those great ideas that all of you guys have shared, and we don't have enough time to go through all of them here today. Other people can read all those comments and learn from the brains trust, because everybody out there has knowledge and information, and it's so useful to draw on that.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the 3 choices. What was the pros and cons of the first choice, which was staying on the harbour wall?
You always think I would be better off in a harbour than out of a harbour, but the wall was really rough, big stones that were at least 2 inches across, sharp edges. The wind was going to be blowing us onto the wall.
You can actually tell how much surge or how much power is in the waves in an area by looking at the docks. And this dock, all bar concrete that was holding it together, was sharp, gnarly points in all of these stones, which indicated that that particular wall copped a huge amount of weather. And also, if we did stay there, our fenders were going to just be rubbing up and down those gnarly sharp points, and they would bust in any matter of time, and then we'd have no protection against that wall.
Yeah, so that one was a fairly easy, straightforward one. We had to get off that wall. So the second option was to anchor in the middle of the harbour. The harbour was facing the oncoming storm, so it was going to get the swell that was built up across those 5 miles. And also you had to have enough room to spin, probably 150 degrees of swing according to the storm that was coming. That would also limit how much chain you could put out. And the other thing we had real severe worries about, the depths were only shallow in the charts, and now it's silted up. We really didn't know how much of the harbour we could actually get our boat into without bottoming out.
And the other thing was, because we had such a small amount of swinging room, we couldn't put the amount of chain out that we would have been comfortable putting out and to keep us safe. So the problem is, if we had have gone there and we had fouled.
I mean, there was a comment that talked about, well, if your anchor fouls, then you're not going to move. Well, that's true, and hopefully you'll be safe. But the problem is, if you're fouled and then the wind changes direction and your anchor allows you to rotate into some other boats or the harbour wall, then you're absolutely stuffed.
It wasn't only just the harbour wall that was the problem and the hazard, it was all the boats that were moored around the harbour wall as well, because if they had broken free and run into us.
Yeah. Then the third option is leave the harbour, motor out into the bay and anchor in the lee of the storm underneath the mountains 5 miles away.
So leaving what seems to be the safety of the port to go motor out into the storm so you can get away from the storm. It's kind of a little bit
counterintuitive. And unfortunately, this is a common problem you're going to have to face if you're sailing any distance, because there are going to be times when the harbour is not quite as good as it should be, and you've got to make that decision to go out and be willing to risk your life and your boat on an anchor in the open waters away from the safety of a harbour, because it's not water that commonly damages your boat, it's rocks and other boats or other solid items that you can run into. So if you're out in a big bay as a new drag, you will drag out into open water, and you can try to reset your anchor, and if it doesn't work, you can spend your time motoring backwards and forwards in the deep water until the storm abates. Now, major pain in the bum, sure, but you would be safe. It would be horrible, and you have to stay awake for all night or for several days if it's a cyclone.
Those were our three choices, and drum roll, what did we decide to do?
We decided to go out into the bay. There was less risk, we believed, directly, but also the problems, if they arose, we could solve ourselves. We didn't have to rely on other people coming out to help us in the harbour, and there were just too many unknowns. So we made the decision to go out and do it alone. So let's see how we do. So the problem we have right now is we're being blown off the wall, and the bollards are a long way away, so the boat is just springing far off the wall, so we can't actually step ashore to fix the lines. So fortunately we've got a pole. We'll try and get a line onto a close hook, bring it back to the boat, and then when we can drop the other lines if we have two lines led back to the boat. So that's the plan, that's what we're doing now.
He's got the rope loop there.
It's just good.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Just a little bit further. Come on, you can do it.
Although this was very early in the morning, a frail old man was walking by, and we asked him if he could catch our rope and put it through that metal loop. We threw the rope over, and with some difficulty he picked it up, struggled on the rough concrete wall, and then dropped the rope through the metal hoop. Unfortunately, his legs were much too stiff and he couldn't bend down to pull the rope through the hoop. But as he walked away, he offered to catch the rope and put it around the bollard if that would help us. So again, we throw him over the rope, he looped it around the bollard, and then with a really good throw, threw the rope back to us in one go. So now we had that rope doubled at the back, so when we leave we could just throw it and pull the rope through, and we could maneuver the boat using that doubled line, get Ellie ashore, and she could release the bow line on the other line. Okay, we can take this other line off.
Yeah, we can take that other line off, but we still got to leave it because we can't get it from that end.
Ashore to get the line, so
yeah.
At least we got one line. I mean, I was hoping to use that one, because that can hold us in close.
Would you want to try again, and that's a backup just in case?
Now to get Ellie ashore, I put the port engine in reverse and the starboard engine in forward, and the boat rotates anti-clockwise. When the boat's close enough to the shore, Ellie jumps ashore, I neutralise the engines, and then we fix the ropes. And then I reverse the process with the engines to bring the stern close to the shore to allow Ellie to jump back onto the boat, onto the transom, as that is a wider area to land on. So we ended up with a bow and stern line looped back to the boat. We easily then just drop both ends of those ropes and pull the tails through back to the boat and motor away. Job done, but what a lot of hassle for such a simple procedure.
Well, that was a lot of fun, getting off the dock.
Yeah, it was a real struggle because of the crosswinds and all the lines being tight.
Okay, so that was pretty intense, but we got off the dock, and I actually had to jump. John had to try and motor the boat in as close as he could. I jump on the dock 1.5 meters, which is my most grand jeté that wasn't captured on film, I might add. So we're leaving Crete and we're leaving the safety of the harbour, which just doesn't make sense to me, but it makes sense that for all of those other reasons, it makes sense to be here.
So we were in Sitia, which is here. We're motoring across. There's 2 anchorages marked. One is in there, which looks more protected, but as it blows from the southwest, we might have limited space to drag. And the other one is in here, which obviously has more space to drag with the southwesterly wind. There's one anchorage and there's the other anchorage. I think we'll go and check out this faraway anchorage first and then make the decision, because that looks more protected from the southwest as well, as long as there's enough dragging space.
sometimes when you have a problem or an issue, and there's all these factors that are playing a role in the issue, sometimes you just have to chunk and check, which is chunk them down in manageable pieces and then check them off. So the first big thing was to actually get off the dock and not be to get off safely, not be blown on.
Scratching the boat.
Yeah. So that was the first major thing. The second major thing is checking out the anchorage, getting across here, checking out the anchorage to make sure that which one of the two are the best ones for us, which the wind is going to change direction.
Look at that. The wind's turned from the south, just like that. That was about a reprieve of calm wind for about less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And now the wind's kicking in from the south, and look, black gusts on the black gusty. It's coming in already. That's amazingly quick.
Yeah.
That's the wind.
Don't know if you can see the sand being blown off that sand hill right there. But anyway. So the reason we had to leave early, as soon as this wind comes in, that wind would have been pushing us onto the dock and it would have been really hard to leave against that hard, craggy, rough port. Luckily, we're away. Yeah, thank goodness. Whew.
It's actually nicer that the wind's blowing from the direction the storm is coming now, because when we set the anchor will be in the right position for that wind. If we'd put it in with that northerly, we would have been facing the wrong way, and of course the anchor will probably rotate and dig in again, but there's always a risk. So nice, now we can actually see the direction that we're going to have to get protection from. We can look at the mountains to where we got the highest mountains for the best protection, and then that's what will allow us to make all those choices for the anchoring position.
Yeah, so timing was actually very good.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the sun's just come up. It's been up probably for half an hour. It's going to be a big day.
Look at that, white horses on the water already.
Yet that was quite flat. So
it's 11 knots at the moment. The wind hasn't hit us yet, but soon we're going to go boom.
Yeah, we need to tuck in real soon. So the joys of sailing life, guys. Right, those waves are coming up so quickly.
Wow, 20 knots already. 21, 22.
So we've got our headsets on, which are an absolute godsend, because when the wind's up and you're trying to concentrate on doing stuff, you can yell as loud as you like, but if you're facing the wrong way, you're not going to hear each other. They're all charged up this morning, ready to go. They're great, aren't they?
Yep, they are. Maybe put it inside, honey.
They might not hear you, that's all.
You want to stop the video now?
Yeah. We're just on our way sailing across to the anchorage, and the wind's already up to 35 plus. I'm just down here in the cockpit so you can hear me. The waves are pretty gnarly, and we're probably about half a mile from dropping pegs. The wind's really picking up, and we need some grunt. It's only about 8 a.m. in the morning. Of course, in the morning is 8 a.m.
So we chose the anchorage with the highest cliffs, and I made a point of going as close to the cliffs as I possibly could to get as much protection as I could from the mountains. We dug the anchor in hard, gave it 70 meters of chain, and then we had to just sit and wait.
Well, we've arrived at our anchorage. For now, the winds are calm. Ish.
You talking to me?
No, talking to them. It's 11 knots right here in this anchorage. But we know it's going to get crazy. So we're enjoying it while we can. We've got ropes to coil and our breath to get back. So thanks guys for following along with us. We really appreciate your support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscriber button, because we really don't want you to miss out on all the exciting stuff we have coming up, especially the build of our new Portofino 52 Catamaran aluminium that's going to be launched in a few months' time. So you know what to do. Click that subscriber button.
And do it now, guys.
Make it happen.
So we're in the middle of this horrible day with 30 to 42 knot winds, but we're behind a cliff, so we have protection. But looking out there, the sea just looks really, really horrible. Lots and lots of white horses. The wind's coming off the land in front of the boat. So even though the land is only maybe 200 meters that way, we're already getting waves, even where we are. They're close to a foot at times. We're getting spray whipped up off the water from gusts, which is pretty impressive. Like little tornadoes, or little whirlwinds. So we spent this whole day watching the anchor, listening to the woo-woo winds in the rigging, and despite only being 200 meters from this high cliff, we were still in a steady 35 knot winds, gusting to 42 and 150 knot wind, with the boat jerking on the anchor on a regular basis and the spray being whipped up off the water just to keep you in line and remind you who is boss. Here is the only evidence that we have of the 50 knot wind, but this photo does show a really nice semicircular anchor track as the wind veered around about 120 degrees through the course of the storm. Once the winds came in from the west, we knew that southerly blow was over and then it was safe to go back to Sitia. The anchor had held firm, and remembering that we had 70 meters of chain out, that makes our swinging arc 140 meters, which I don't think would have been enough to swing in Sitia harbour.
So guys, we're heading back to the anchorage where we were in Sitia, and it looks a lot calmer, and hopefully we can just drive in and tie up, and the storm hopefully is over.
Then on the way home, an ominous dark cloud appeared and the wind picked up again to about 28 knots. So we just watched it for a while. It stayed where it was and then gradually faded away. So we anchored back in Sitia harbour and treated ourselves to a nice meal out. It was a classic fish platter for two with Greek salad and a small carafe of wine. Very well earned. Okay, Portofino lovers, this is what everybody's been asking for, more information about the Portofino. So today we are going to show you where the build is up to this very week, and we're also going to let Rafa explain how the aircon systems that he is installing have innovations that allow much less power to be used by the aircon systems. So thanks to Martina for these photos, and here you see the boat as it is now, viewed from the port bow. It is the underwing that's being constructed, and you can see the cross beams and stringers that, when all welded together, is amazingly strong because it's aluminium. You don't have to have much imagination here to see that this is going to be an amazingly strong boat. This diamond-shaped plate is the base for the mast, and you can see how it is supported by multiple cross beams that connect to the bulkheads and the other beams to spread the load of the mast through the boat. Here is the underwing from the bow, and you can see the plates are now complete, and you can also see the lovely fine entry that the boat has into the water on this left-hand side of the photo. The crossbeam on the bow is also seen here from a few weeks ago, and notice that it is both triangular in cross-section and curved, which creates significant extra strength while keeping it very light. And now to some less serious items. Here are the aft cockpit seats, and you can see this wide one is our day bed that will be on the starboard side. The rear one that also will contain the barbecue, couches that go around the table, and the plate for part of the aft cockpit floor. So now let's pass it over to Rafa to talk about his innovative aircon systems.
Super power saver. Yeah. Especially because you use the RPM than you need. So if you need less water, slow down. Noise is nothing because it's a brushless motor. The cost is different, but here we are talking about quality. We are not talking about this boat. We are talking about quality. Everything we choose for this boat is the best. It's not. We don't have to choose cheap solution. And here we are not talking about money. We are talking about a little bit more. But nothing that can compare with the benefit is nothing. What many companies sometimes they don't understand. With a little difference, you have huge improvement. When it's like this, let's spend this little money. When they are spending huge money to build for a little improvement, maybe you don't need. So what we design together with Bernard, we give him the tips. For example, I have 3 units. These 3 units, they are connected to the manifold with the same pump. And this is fine, they have already this system. But they find the pump is a fixed speed. You can adjust 4 different speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a potentiometer. Then you set up the speed of the pump according with what you need. Because in our boat, if you put 3 units there, sometimes you use only 1, you don't use 3. So why I have to supply water to the other 2? Is noise, is power, and not only that, is barnacle. So more water is running in the pipe, more barnacle you will get. So it's more maintenance. If I don't use this unit, why I should run the water through? Because if the system it's running or not running, barnacle is the same like if you are running the system. And this is the problem that we face when we do the maintenance. So we put the valve here, we put the valve here, and we put the valve here. All of this is managed by the electronic card inside the system. Then manage the valve and the speed of the pump. So if I have one valve open, doesn't matter which one, the pump will run slowly. If you have 2 valve open, the pump increases a little bit. If you have 3 valve open, we go full speed. Yeah. Save money, save noise, save maintenance, and power. Most of the time you will not run 3 systems. And in your case it's 6 because it's 3 systems each side. 2 in the D-net and 4 in the hub. 2 units will be here to cool down the D-net, and is the most difficult place to cool down because it's full of glass, you have the door. So here we have 2 units, 18,000 BTU each. The efficiency of the system is like 20% more than any other. So 18,000, you have to think about plus 20%. All of this is 48 volts, no need inverter. Another power saving, because to transform the 48 in 220 and go again from 220 transform in DC, because the compressor is DC, even Frigomar. This is connected to the battery, is not connected to the inverter Victron. So you save the power of the inverter. We already plan to put 1 single unit in your cabin, because we say, if you want to run only your cabin, why I have to run all the boat? And after that you have 1 for the back and 1 for the front. This is smaller. This can be 10,000, more than enough. So in this case, you run what you need. But we have 2 pumps in the engine room, then feed water to, this pump feed water to all the 3, and this pump for this 3. Yeah. So what I need from them, number 1, I need a system that can manage the pumps. We have 1 pump, 3 units with a valve. So this PC board have to switch on and off this valve. When I switch on the system, the valve opens and allow the water to go through. Same time, the PC board increase the speed of the pump. According with the length of this pipe, I have on this PC board 3 different setup by trimmer. So I can customize the speed of the pump according with the length of the pipe. I have here on the PC board 3 trimmer, with a plastic screwdriver you can adjust the 3 speed. Perfect. I start already the prototype. So with this system, I can reduce a lot the consumption of the air conditioning, because I customize the system according what I need day by day. And even the full power of the system is the same with less consumption. This means then I can remove 2 batteries. Instead of 8 batteries, I can use 6 batteries. And I get the same range of AC, minimum 10 hours. So I can cross all the night with the AC on everywhere, This is made for our boat. They made a special analysis for our boat. We can use now 30 kilowatts and get the same range, or maybe more. Because with this customization, you run really what you need. So with this system, we have the same power or more with 2 batteries less, 100 kilograms less. When we were talking about try to save weight where you can and put weight where you need. You can have your pump, seawater pump here, and your seawater pump in the other side. And you can carry 1 pump spare. To replace the pump is super easy. Just 2 pipe and 3 wire. Keep 1 spare pump on board. This much. You can keep in the engine room in case you have a failure. It'd be easy.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to be a part of an exciting way to save lives around the world, join our Patreon family and get up close and personal with us.